Ni hao ma and hello. My name is Anita Jack and my Chinese name is Hai Ping Lui. I am a 4th generation Bendigo Chinese and this is the Bendigo Chinese story. My Chinese ancestors arrived here on the goldfields during the 1850s. They came to look for gold and for fortune. The Chinese who stayed here in Bendigo became a very strong part of the community. The cultural heritage here in Bendigo can be seen through the streets, in the buildings. In the city, we have the Bendigo Chinese Association, which is also a tangible link to the Chinese in the late 1800s. And then we have the Golden Dragon Museum, which is our 1990s link to the Chinese in the wider community. In particular, we have a Joss house.
I'm Dennis O'Hoy. I was involved with the restoration of this temple, the North Bendigo Joss House. It was built by the Chinese miners in the 1860s, and of the 7 that were built here on the large Chinese camp, this is the only one left in the whole of the Goldfields regions of Victoria. It's a building of historical significance. Inside the main temple of the Joss House is Guan Di. Guan Di was a general that ruled 200 AD, and he brought peace to China, and consequently the Chinese miners worshipped him for peace and prosperity on the Victorian Goldfields. This building is a living temple and people do come here to worship. We're at the White Hill Cemetery. It's the resting place of the many pioneers that came to Bendigo. And of great significance is the Chinese section where over 1,000 Chinese graves have been recorded, and they go back to the early 1850s. This is the footstone of one of my uncles who was born in Bendigo in 1886, and at the tender age of 3 he died. That is the family name, Lui, and the 2 characters here is Choi San, the district where many of the Chinese came from. This is a prayer tower. It's important to burn joss papers and prayers for the deceased, and in keeping with Chinese tradition and heritage, I have to do this at least 3 times a year.
As a child, my first involvement with the Bendigo Chinese Association was through participating in the Bendigo Easter Fair, and more importantly during the Awakening of the Dragon on Easter Sunday, where we would fundraise for the local hospitals in the area. The Chinese participated in the very first Bendigo Easter Fair Festival in 1871 and have done so ever since. During the year, the Bendigo Chinese Association would perform at all different community events. Here we are with the Peking Lions performing at the local town hall. The girls would do the ribbon dance and the fan dance, and this was something that I'd grown up with for most of my life. It's an honour to become the princess, which is part of the Bendigo Chinese Association processional section at Easter. Here I am as princess in 1988. It was the year that the Bendigo Chinese Association decided that they might like to build a museum. It was also the Chinese year of the Golden Dragon, hence the name, the Golden Dragon Museum. The Golden Dragon Museum is a cultural hub for all Chinese in Australia. It's a community museum and it is the largest Chinese community museum in Australia. It houses the greatest textiles collection from the 1880s. This collection was purchased by the Chinese to parade in the Bendigo Easter Fair Festival. Later on they purchased a dragon called Lung. In 1892 it paraded in the streets of Bendigo, and the local paper had reported that a monster is seen in the parade. He paraded in 1901 to celebrate Federation, and again in 2001. This dragon is now on the Victorian Heritage listing because it's seen as a tangible link to the Chinese in the 1800s and to today. This is Lung, which is Cantonese for dragon. He's the world's oldest imperial dragon. His body here used to be stored in crates, and these crates were inside the Bendigo Chinese Association rooms. As a child, I would sit on top of these crates and have my hair and makeup done for the fashion parade during the Awakening of the Dragon on Easter Sunday. The general here is part of the collection from the 1880s, the one that was paraded in the 1882 Bendigo Easter Festival. The costume is made out of silk, mirrors and gold bullion thread. The gold bullion thread that you see here is pure gold that is flattened like a piece of paper and then wrapped around the thread and embroidered with. The mirrors are to scare away evil spirits, because the Chinese believe that good and bad spirits are all around us, and the best thing to do is to avoid these evil spirits. Lung was very tired and old, and so in 1969 they decided to purchase a new dragon. This dragon is called Sun Lung and is in the Sun Lung Gallery at the Golden Dragon Museum. He is today the world's longest imperial dragon. This is my daughter Stelina. The unique thing about Bendigo's Chinese history is that it's been passed down from generation to generation. I learnt from my mother and father, and my daughter today is learning from me.
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ những video hấp dẫn.